and welcome to this Prologue to Progress discussion as part of the In Celebration of MOBO programme. Now, it's taking place across the city ahead of the MOBO Awards tomorrow night. My name is Letitia George and I will be your host this evening. I'm so delighted to be joined in person here at Coventry's HMV Empire and virtually by the young musicians from Detroit. And with the support of Media Mania in Coventry and also the Mosaic Youth Theatre in Detroit, they are currently collaborating to create new music together as part of the Coventry City of Culture Youthful Cities Programme. So let me introduce you to the incredible talent that we have here this evening. Now let's go to Detroit first. Hi guys!
Okay, so I guess I'll go first. I'm Dwayne. My name is Dwayne Huey. I am a musician. I play drums. I've been playing drums since I was probably about the age of 4. I have a bachelor's degree from Falmouth University by way of not in Detroit, City Education.
Dwayne, would you be able to speak up for us just ever so slightly?
Oh yes, I can do that.
The drummer keeps the mic very far away.
I thought I was doing my best. I'm sorry. So, yes,
okay. You know how the internet do.
Right. So I graduated from Falmouth University with a bachelor's degree in creative music studies by way of Detroit Institute of Music Education. That place for those 3 years taught me how to really hone in on my musicianship. Gave me studio time, gave me a lot of opportunities to be able to play around the city of Detroit and just in Michigan and in the United States. I've gotten a lot of opportunities just from that area or just from that place. Mostly, this opportunity was very awesome to get through Diva. One day, I got the link like the day before, and my sister was like, I think you should try this out and be able to do this, and I was able to get on this with the Youthful Cities, and it's been a very awesome opportunity to have.
Amazing.
Cool. So,
amazing.
My name is Nick Huey. I'm a vocalist, vocal arranger, producer, just all around music maker, and I grew up here at Mosaic Youth Theatre of Detroit, just being one of the Mosaic singers, and so I got a lot of my performance experience, and that's how I got introduced to music being a real profession and a real career opportunity for me. So my senior year I chose to go and audition for Berklee College of Music, and I got in, so that's where I was for 4 years. I was in Boston, Massachusetts. I majored in contemporary writing and production, which is a mixture of learning how to arrange for live instruments of all different kinds, but mostly I was really into studio work. And so that's what I'm still trying to do to this day. And yeah.
I'm going to volley to Crystal. Go for it, Crystal.
Hello, everybody. My name is Crystal Tigne. I'm a singer and an actor. I grew up going to Mosaic. I graduated in 2019, and I'm currently studying theater at Southern Methodist University. And additionally, I do some songwriting and singing. So, yeah.
And I am D. Lachey Strader. I am the executive and artistic director at Mosaic. I'm also an alumnus of Mosaic, so I was in the program in high school. I'm excited to be having this conversation with you all. And, yeah, we'll kick it back over to Coventry.
We are very excited to be hanging out with you tonight. But yes, guys, introduce yourselves. Let's start to the left.
Oh, no. Okay. I'm Sarah. I'm a synth and electronic musician, and I do some composing and some singing and some percussion work as well. So I do a bit of all sorts of stuff, and I just like writing music.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm Joe. I'm a music producer, multi-instrumentalist, mainly play guitar, keys and stuff. But yeah, I also do like sound engineering and stuff, so yeah.
Hey there, I'm Sivi. I just like writing music. What's the word? I'm an aspiring singer-songwriter. That's it. That's me.
Hi, my name's Kimberly. I'm a singer-songwriter, musician, producer, everything in between. Yes, I've always wanted to be a part of this music industry since I was 4, so it's just a blessing to be a part of this today.
I'm Andrew, a bassist predominantly. I do play a couple of other instruments as well. Been steeped in music all my life, thanks. I'm very grateful for that. And yeah, I'm just relishing the opportunities that I have to make music, especially with other people, so this project has been a real blessing for that.
Well, it is very, very exciting to have you all together, guys. So, listen, let's get into this. Nick, can you tell me a bit more about the project so far and how you found the exchange process?
Sure. So, the project so far, it's been really insightful to have these conversations. A lot of us are having similar emotions towards just the state of the world right now, and it's been a beautiful process so far, just getting the conversations flowing, and I'm really excited to see what more we can create so far. And sorry, what was the second question?
Just how you found the project so far, but also how you found the exchange process.
Oh yeah, it's been cool so far. I think the sessions that we've had so far have been really cool to just get to know everyone and to know people's workflows and different styles. It's really interesting to like just witness the differences of each other. So that's what I'm really enjoying.
And throwing over to you, Sippy. How have you found it from a Coventry perspective?
I would say very much similar opinion to Nick's, that it's been very interesting to get together and have these conversations with two different groups from two different sides of the world, but kind of like finding those similarities, finding those topics that we have shared interest in terms of like the environment, in terms of the things that we kind of like enjoy and are passionate about, but at the same time having then to convert that as musicians into a working relationship with the distance between us has been tricky, and we're kind of like still finding a balance for that. I feel like I speak for everyone when I say that, but it's been really nice to have the opportunity to find that balance and to kind of like work with you guys, because it doesn't happen often, but just looking forward to it, looking forward to more conversations and kind of like bridging the gap between what we want from the project and what we're able to do, and kind of like just creating something that's really beautiful out of it, which is already happening, because this is the first time I'm seeing you guys in a while, and it's still exciting, and I'm smiling and I'm happy, and it just goes to show that every single time we talk, it's always good vibes, and there's always like an element of understanding, which I enjoy, and I'm looking forward to continue happening. Yeah.
And hopefully one day it might be in person.
Yeah. That would be nice.
So,
yeah,
Joe,
easier.
I know this work started with, like, you know, how everyone's kind of touched on it briefly, sort of thinking about your lives, your cities as well. You know, what have you discovered about each other and the cities that you live, work and create in?
I think what's been sort of striking actually is how similar our tastes are, and I guess our views, and as Nick sort of said, like when we've had sessions and when we've sort of discussed the things that we actually want to talk about, either like lyrically through themes or musically through themes, it's actually like really weird how similar they are, especially with the music. For me, like I guess like my sort of production influence has a lot of that like sort of funk hip hop element, which is like got a lot of history in Detroit as well. So yeah, like it was kind of weird in the sense that it was also quite easy to approach each other in that way, sort of learning the different sort of outlooks and sort of musical influences that we've got. Yeah, they really sort of pulled together quite well actually, which I think's also helped the way that we work. But yeah, just little bits like that sort of kind of made me look into a bit more history. Like one of my big influences is George Clinton from Funkadelic. He spent a lot of time in Detroit as well, so just kind of like things that I already knew about, I've now kind of like picked up and learned a bit more about along the way, which has been cool. So,
well, every day is a school day, and we are not afraid to learn. Crystal, can I ask you, how about you in Detroit? Have you guys learned anything unexpected, or has anything really surprised you about Coventry?
Peace. Now let's do.
It's just awesome. Oh.
You can go for it, Crystal.
Just collaborating. The collaborating process is always awesome. But it was just interesting because I didn't really know much about Coventry at all. I remember we did an assignment at the beginning where everyone sent in videos of their favorite places in their communities. And it was just really awesome to see all those places and how the places they grew up inspired their music.
Nice. And Kimberly, you are literally, all of you, in Coventry, Detroit, you're all musicians, but you're working together in a new way. It's a new thing. We're in a different type of world right now.
Yeah.
You're working together in a new way, but in a way that hasn't really been done before, for a project like this. Do you know what I mean? But how did you begin to think about collaborating online as musicians? Normally you head up to the studio and it's like, yes, let's catch a vibe, as Willow will say. But let's just do this, let's feel what's going on in the room. But you haven't had that opportunity yet. So what's that been like?
I think we've all adapted well. I think, like you said, Sibi, is just the vibe when we first met. I think the meeting before we actually started getting into the music stuff really helped us to understand each other a little bit better, our taste. Like Joe mentioned, our taste is very similar, so it wasn't very as much as a struggle to try and catch a vibe when making music with one another, because again we're so very similar but different in our own way. So when it came to making music online, I'm still used to emailing sounds to producers, or producers emailing to me, so I feel like it was kind of similar in that way. Sending, because obviously now we live in such a technological and digital era, it wasn't as difficult of a transition as you would think it was. It would have been great, obviously, to meet us face to face and travel back and forth. But I think because we've done this so well, this might be the future of how music might be done in terms of working internationally and not just locally. So it was such a great experience to be a part of now as well, just to figure out how we can do things, especially to adapt in such a COVID-19 era. I think it was an easy transition to do, and it's been great so far. I'm loving every minute of it.
Love that. Now, Dwayne, let me pop over to you. What did you find the hardest about this whole experience so far? Do you think that it's impacted your sound so far in the project?
I would say the most difficult thing would probably be just not being able to do all of this face to face, but also we're all working musicians and adults, and we all have jobs and lives, and I'm very busy with gigs. I know we in the Detroit crew really haven't had the chance to really sit and collaborate as much as we really wanted to, but also just using that and using our technology more. We have group chats and stuff like that, so us being able to just adapt, as best as we can through those difficulties has been just probably one of the hardest things.
And do you think it has, the fact that you can't get, like I said before, you can't get in the studio, you're not face to face, do you think that has impacted the sound that you've managed to create so far? Or do you think it's because you've had to work harder, do you think it's actually created a better sound for you?
I think it can be both, because you can lean more on your cohort or on the people that you're working with, and sometimes it's okay to have another set of eyes or another pair of hands on your project. This is what we were getting ourselves into anyway. So I think it's a good thing to just be able to let whatever you're creating breathe, or let somebody else breathe on that creation sometimes.
I like that a lot. Sarah, for you in Coventry, what's been the hardest thing for you guys?
I think it's been quite tricky, just because a lot of us are working at the same time, so it's arranging it so that we can meet up, and then a time when we can all meet up at the same time as in another time zone people can meet up. There's been a bit of a struggle there in that. But even though when we have been able to meet, it's been like amazing just having that connection and like all the conversations we've had. Like we were talking about before, we had this one Zoom session where we just all sat and chatted for like an hour and a half, and it was amazing. Just like we were all just talking, like putting the worlds to right, you know, and just talking about all sorts of stuff and all these issues that we're all facing. But then the fact that those issues were then kind of impacting the work we were trying to do, because we were all like trying to do jobs and trying to earn as much money as we can because of the way the situations are at the moment. And then that being the same problem for the guys in Detroit, like trying to find a time where we could all meet together when people were working and trying to earn money, you know. So that was quite tricky. But I think what's been quite good is the fact that because it's an online thing, in a way, people can like write a bit of a track and then post it in our like Google Drive, and then someone, when they get time, they can go, oh, I've got an idea, and they can add to it. And that's been really, really cool. Like one of the guys in Detroit recently just like did like a freestyle rap and like posted it, and then we were all like listening to it, go, hey, well that fits with this, and it works so well, and we were like already generating ideas. And it's like, even though we can't sit down together and all do it all the time because of that time zone difference and because of our own personal lives, we've still got that there's still that energy and there's still that creative collaboration that we can still do. And I think it took a while for us to kind of realise how we could approach it. Yeah. But then now we're sort of getting it. I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah. Andrew, you know when, like Sarah was just saying, someone will drop some audio into the is it the Google Drive?
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone will drop some audio in there, and you realise, oh, we can put that with that. What does that feel like for you when you hear something that somebody else created and you think it is absolute fire? Like, how do you feel inside knowing that you're a part of that?
Oh, it's absolutely amazing. Like, all the stuff that people have done in Little Ideas all really feel so good, and just being able to get that inspiration from these people halfway across the world is quite surreal, to be honest. And yeah, it's quite an interesting difference to what I'm sort of used to, where it's sort of been very much sort of a live session thing of people come up with ideas. It's almost like as you get that same feeling but with a delayed reaction. And yeah, it's been quite a sort of hallmark of this, really. The sort of long-range collaboration has been noticeable, but it's been in a good way. Yeah. It's not felt like a major hindrance.
Love that. And Letitia, you know, for you guys over there, how do you find the balance? You know, the Coventry cohort are saying, you know, trying to, with all the working and they're, you know, working musicians, they've got jobs. Of course, you know, we're still in a pandemic. How do you find the balance over there to be able to get together, create your music, and also live your life?
In some ways, it's similar to pre-COVID. I mean, for musicians, think about it. The juggling act is something that we participate in all the time. The late nights, early mornings, right? It's kind of a part of the gig. I do think that the compounded stresses of what's happening in the world right now has made a deep impact in terms of your even motivation to create. So the connection and this opportunity to kind of reinvigorate those musical muscles and to get creative again in a way that is similar, though, you know, not quite the same vibe as being in a live session and feeding off of one another, is certainly a powerful, you know, testament to the work that we're doing and just the kind of nature of musicians. And so a lot of it is, you know, not just file sharing between UK and Detroit, but file sharing between, you know, some of us that are only blocks away. And you might get a ping on your cell phone at 2 a.m. And you run to your studio. So it's not all that different, but it has certainly been a healthy way of dipping our toes back into this kind of work.
Love that. And I want to bounce this question off Coventry and Detroit. I'm going to start with Coventry. So, Joe, I'm going to pop over to you over here. You know, with the project that you're doing right now, if there was anybody who's watching right now on the live who thought to themselves, I would love to get involved in something like this, like what I'm hearing everybody saying sounds so exciting, but I've never expressed my musical abilities before. What would you say to that person to make them maybe reach out and say, can I get involved in this? Or to just encourage them to get into music?
Start learning is the biggest thing, you know. I don't know about everyone else. Like I heard their sort of like academic achievements, and I was kind of like, wow. And I never went to college. I never went to college or anything for music. Like even guitar, until like a few guys at Media Mania started like helping me with that, I was like very self-taught. So yeah, don't let any of those things hold you back. And as much as we all love like new equipment and stuff, like you can achieve a lot with a laptop and a little MIDI controller and a pair of headphones, you know. And in terms of collaborating with other musicians, like the one thing that's been really cool about this project, as soon as people hear that we're working with people from Detroit, they instantly get interested. And I guess what's striking is we probably wouldn't have needed a project to actually probably pull something off like this. Like it's probably given me the insight that actually if you have collaborating styles or interests with another country, another city, you could probably like research and find artists that would suit your sound and that you could work with. And yeah, like that was also a good pull for them, right? You can go through their channels, you know, our work's being put through Detroit's channels and their work's going through our channels. So it's like mutually beneficial to work with other people, and this project's like proven that as well, that you as a musician, especially me as a producer, you rely on other creative people. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Even if you don't feel like you're at the right skill level, it's better to have people around you that you can work with. That'll get you so much further than what you can just on your own as well. So don't be afraid to collaborate, for sure.
Love that. Crystal, can I throw the same question at you? You know, if someone in Detroit maybe was listening, or in the UK and watching the live and thought, I would love to get involved in this, what advice would you give them?
My advice is always just to go for it. Yeah.
Love that. Short and sweet.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah, don't overthink it. That's how I usually go about doing things. Yeah.
Do you think sometimes in music we can fall into that trap of overthinking something that we do? You know, you write a quick lyric here or there and you're like, oh, boom, boom, boom. And then you go back to it 2 days later, you're like, what even is this?
Not even 2 days later.
Just me.
No, definitely. I think as musicians, we always nitpick because we're such perfectionists with our work. Because obviously, it's our work. We want it to be the best it can be. So we're changing it every 5 minutes. I know I've been guilty of writing something or making a full song and be like, this is absolutely mess. I'm not going to release it. No one's going to hear this ever again. Like, I'm not even going to look back here. And then, yeah, exactly. And then you don't. Or you make someone else listen to you, like, why isn't this out yet? And I'm like, oh, because we're always beating ourselves up to try and, like, be the best at music. Because it's hard to try and, like, create something absolutely amazing for yourself, but everyone else to hear. So we're always constantly beating up ourselves. So I think it's inevitable when being part of this music stuff. It's always going to happen, beating yourself up.
I hear that.
I feel like we're always our own worst critics, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
One thing that I do sometimes to make myself not do that is like we did this challenge thing with Media Mania where you like had 30 minutes to like just start writing a piece of music, and honestly that really helps because if you're suddenly like, oh, I've got to have something by the end of that time, so then it makes you just not overthink it. You just got to go, and that's what's helped me start the track that we're going to do for one of the tracks on this. So I think that's been really, really helpful.
Nice. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, it's funny. I was just having this conversation with Dila the other day. It's a thing I'm still learning is to not be afraid to be seen trying. Whatever you do, it's okay to whether you're like making a song and because we're in this gig where it's like you only get better by doing. So everything you look at in the past, it's like, well, I'm better than what I did just then, you know? So you always have to let your pride like go when you have something that you care about. And you're just like, well, I'm better now, so I don't want it to be shown. It's like, no, you have to let people see the progression. And so that is probably something that deters a lot of people. They just don't want to be seen. Like while they're growing, they want to be really perfect right now. And then they decide to step out. And so that's something it's easier said than done to do, but that's something I think we all are going through.
So true. So true. Joey, let me ask you, have you influenced each other musically? I know a couple of you guys have said you've got similar tastes, the knowledge that you have around the music and things like that. But do you think, obviously, not everybody here or over there has the same style or the same influences. So do you think that during the course of this project, you have influenced each other musically? And, if you do have different styles, how contrasting are they?
Personally for me, yes and no. I mean, there's always like similarities and differences. Like I like the way Alex plays his bass. Like I like the bass line that he put on the one song that that we were working on, and like I just recently recorded some drums on that song, and I hope that they're good enough to actually make it on to the song, because we were trying to put some just like help like kind of like bring it to life on the project and stuff like that. But just being able to listen to just like how the Coventry crew sounds like people that are gigging out here in the city and stuff like that. It just it just kind of what am I looking for here? It just it kind of helps that influence when it's time for me to like actually put something down, because I kind of already have like an idea of what I'm trying to put down on a certain song or like a certain vibe that we're looking for and stuff like that.
And if I could speak, I think for us and for the Coventry group too, I think all of our tastes are pretty eclectic. We have a lot of people who are interested in so many things, and so that openness really helps us create, because it's not like we're catering to someone who only likes one thing, and it's easier to brainstorm when we're just like why not, because we're all like feeling it, we're all vibing it. So
I hear that. And Sibby, for you over in Coventry, because I know through knowing you guys, you do have different tastes in music, you have different styles in playing. Girl, your performance style is off the wall. I love it. This. I've seen you before. I'm in the back like, that's my girl. So how do you feel like that you personally as well have been influenced by maybe working in the group with people that maybe haven't worked with before, but also working with the guys in Detroit?
Actually, it's been very interesting inspiration-wise, going back to the conversations, and I know it seems like we're obsessed about talking to each other, but really and truly, the conversations kind of like, I feel, have created a vibe for the type of music that I want to create. I won't put it on everybody else because I don't know what's going on in everyone's ears, but in terms of being able to make music that's truly reflective of our experiences, or that's truly reflective of what we want to say. So in terms of the styles and the interworkings and kind of, again, bridging the gap between what we want to create and how we want to create it, I just find the inspiration from everyone has been with their experiences. I've known, we all went to Blue Coat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, funny story. We all went to the same secondary school. Okay. She went to Blue Coat. We all went to like the same secondary school, and seeing Andrew, seeing Joe, we didn't really talk, not because we're enemies, we're in different like circles.
Yeah.
And like kind of like growing and being inspired, because Sarah was a maniac at the school choir, and kind of like being inspired by that and seeing her thing, seeing that happening, seeing every single, like Blue Coat is a school of musicians, so kind of like being jealous of how they're able to play, how they're able to create, and then now being in a group with them and seeing you guys as well. Shout out to Juice's he's got a new EP album out, so everyone should check that out. Yeah. But also, like, I heard his freestyle, and I was a bit jealous, I won't lie, because it was crazy to me that he was able, again, to perfectly piece together a lot of the experiences that we had, or even just the fact that we're from two different sides of the world, and he did it, and he did it beautifully, and he did it very quickly. So then kind of like feeling that constant inspiration that it is possible to be in a world of like purely creative people, and not to necessarily just constantly feel like it's a competition, but to kind of like learn and grow from them and take their stories, take their inspiration, take their history, and be able to create something together that kind of like pieces all of our stories into one. So I'm excited to see where it's going. I'm excited to see more of the creation, like even working more with you guys, hearing more of that collaboration between us, because right now I feel, if I'm being honest, it's at 15%, which is a good 15%, but that's because our potential is really endless at this point. So like kind of like pushing our potential and seeing where we can go with this is what I'm excited for, because really and truly, we should have recorded those chats. People would be excited.
Yeah, honestly, we should have done.
We're great talkers. We can talk for days. And we talk about real good stuff. So it's nice. It's nice. I'm excited for that. Thank you, guys. Thank you for being inspirational.
Hindsight is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You know what, Sylvia? I love that you did just touch down on it. Everyone's getting emotional over here.
Sniffle, sniffle.
But I'm so pleased that you touched on the music, because now it's time to hear some of the work in progress. We're sitting here talking about it, but it wouldn't be right if we didn't hear it, would it? So, Joe, could you do us the honour of introducing the track?
Yeah, awesome. So this is a track, kind of what Sarah mentioned actually, one of the sessions we were doing where we sort of had like a 30-minute sort of time span to come up with a track idea. This is one that came from that. It's kind of a way that you kind of have to work as a producer actually when you're working with artists. You have like quick ideas and stuff. Yeah, and it's just something that's grown from there. I gave the idea to Andrew, and he played an amazing bass part on it. Sibby put some great vocals on it. We were lucky enough to have Juice send us a verse from Detroit for it as well. We've also got some live drums that's going to be added to it. So yeah, it's sort of kind of still in progress. It's very sort of jazz. Yeah, it's like jazz, hip hop, funk inspired. So yeah, it's called Come to This.
Political music and the political part.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, definitely. It's definitely carried the themes from our conversations through.
Yeah.
So yeah, I imagine they'll speak for themselves.
Let's hear it.
So this is what it's come to. I got some points on this track I'ma run through. The water polluted, all the leaders are foolish and they cool with BS's. Niggas is fluent, but I'm like, where the love go? We been indoors for the night, then the sun shows. Playing in this foul game, they the pros, but we ain't really with that though. So it's come to this.
Hell yeah, it's come to this. Hell yeah, it's come to this. You wanted phones, you wanted cars, so yes, just come to this. Lay down. It's come to this. It's come to this. Yeah, it's come to this. It's come to this. Yeah, it's come to this. Okay.
days. Yo, firstly, can I just give one little comment? You need to drop some brass in there, you know. That is
yes.
I just looked on camera like I was just dazed out. In my head, I just hear this riff, I was like, just a sexy little sax.
Yeah.
You know? I can't do saxophone. Not today. That is so good. I mean, hearing that, you know, obviously this is your project. So I'm gonna throw it over to you, Tigne. You know, hearing that there, how do you feel knowing that, you know, you all made that?
I mean, the fact that to Sydney's point, it's only the beginning, right? This is the first layer of what is going to go really deep and really wide, and that's extremely exciting, not only for the work that we are doing as a collective, but how it will influence and inspire, you know, and continue to make ripples beyond even just this project.
And Sydney, I mean, you were leaning on me for a hot minute.
Oh, I got into it.
So, I mean, how did you feel? Because you were like this most of the time. So I need to ask you. You know,
Kimberly answered that question. No, it's that thing about like, I'm obsessive. I have finished tracks which I don't think are finished. In my head, hear me out, in my head, far from finished, but I see it. I see it. Great, fantastic. I'm like, wow. Exactly. This is gonna be music videos already pictured out in my head. I love it. But right now, whenever I just.
But like you said, it's 15%. Yeah. So like you got to cut something flat. It sounds good.
No, but honestly, generally speaking, it was crazy that was just like a little freestyle session, and we're kind of like building off of kind of like creating a structure in which everyone will be involved. I can't wait to hear like Kimberly sing on it, Crystal sing on it, Nick sing on it, and then having all those vocals really packed up in there, and then all the musicians to do that thing. So forwards a month or so, you can play all the time and I'll be like, yeah. But right now, I'm gonna be like, oh. Because that's just me. I'm a very vulnerable artist. Very.
Aren't we all?
Thank you. Thank you.
But we've also got a freestyle, the one that you mentioned earlier, from Juice.
This is so
I'm
heavy.
excited.
Phenomenal musician.
This is so good.
Peace. Now let's do some geography. 4,000 miles, you gotta ride with me. Need a plane to get there properly. Oh, pardon me, this is from the D to Coventry. See, I would be the one that's chasing broccoli. Cause obviously I'm still affected by poverty. Ain't a problem, G, I just wanna address the comedy. Funny money, the only thing stopping me. Spare a dollar, please. As the world is turning, my brain is burning from lower earnings. But due to purpose, I rule the circus. We on a circuit where zealous persons give in to urges. It's never worth it. Father Time, my flow been perfect since I had birthed it. Got the keys to life like I'm Cole. Make sure that beat is right, Dwayne knows. Sick like I'm Nick, these minds resemble pistols. I wordplay, the next text says, shout out to Crystal. No cap, dealer get my greatest appreciation along with other nations that linked up for this collaboration. The talent is evident. No need to compete. 7 days is just a phase. We ain't never been weak. Juice.
It's the ending. Was sick.
Right?
Is it just me or like, you know, before we actually started filming, you know how we were all making sound effects?
Yeah.
When that finished, I was
Like, where are the sirens at for that? Honestly, near the sirens at the end.
It's a shame that Juice isn't here because I'd love to ask, you know, the thought process behind that. You know, how long did it take to write? Because sometimes people can write things and it takes minutes. I know people that have written songs in half an hour, or people that have written songs in half a year.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm going to throw this one out to you, Crystal. You know, when you're in the writing process, you know, when you're hearing things like that, how do you work like that? Do you know what I mean? Like, how do you make something? When you're creating, I'm trying to think what I'm trying to ask you. When you're creating music and you're creating lyrics, you say you're a songwriter, what is your process behind making that music?
Crystal had to drop off probably due to reception, but I can actually answer this on her behalf. We
Oh,
have
please
this
do.
conversation quite often. It depends, right? Sometimes lyrics just flow naturally, and then there are other times where you'll start a project and you won't pick up your pen again until 3 or 4 years later when there's new inspiration. So it comes and it flows. I won't say comes and goes because it always returns.
And I'll speak to that too. I think a good thing about Kayvon is he has such a spontaneous way of approaching lyrics, and I'm very strategic about it. It takes me a lot of like planning and sitting with the topic and knowing how I feel about it, and like it's a process, but it's just such a stream of consciousness with him. I think that energy is a really good combination with our group.
It's incredible, that freestyle.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, I know, right?
That was a freestyle.
No, seriously.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, honey, you clapped that.
And
No,
seriously,
that's
that
a
was definitely
freestyle. Sick, so
But it
sick.
gets better because what happened was he sent that freestyle to us,
Yeah.
and like right at the same time, I think was it you dropped the start of a new track in, and we played the two together. They were the same BPM, and they fitted perfectly. And it was like even like he was getting it, like the change in the music was fitting with where he was the rhythm of his words. It was so good, and it was like not even planned. It was just how it
It's
happened.
meant to happen. It's meant
It
to
was
happen.
like-
I'm telling you,
happen.
fate. It's meant to
Fate and
happen.
music walk hand in hand.
Exactly.
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, what I need to ask is, you guys in Detroit, what is for you? What is next in this project? Where's it going to go?
I'll speak on it. I got you. I think the next thing for us is really sitting down and honing in on like collaboration efforts, especially like here and especially over there in Coventry. Like really sitting down, creating a schedule, and like actually like trying to, give ourselves like the time to sit down and create and really collaborate with each other, just like together sometimes. If it's like once a month situation, we get on Zoom for maybe like an hour or two just to be able to like talk through certain parts of our projects, talk through certain things that we want to like maybe change or maybe like or try to like add or like just to be able to like do it like kind of like face to face, but also still doing it the way that we kind of are doing it right now, but just to be able to sit and look at each other more and talk about like what we really want to accomplish with the project and what we're trying to really do would be a lot better for us, because like sure, like we've been doing it and like it's been like kind of like sporadic, but I would like to just put a little bit more structure on it sometimes. That's
Nice. Yes. Does anybody here want to add to that, Andrew?
Yeah, I guess I kind of want to speak on that as a producer, because logistically, because as a producer you're kind of pulling everyone's ideas together, and like I'm working on the track. I think what's cool is being able to, when I'm getting these ideas dropped through and working with other musicians, having that content come through, and being able to sort of develop that. So it's really, for me, I keep getting parts sent for these track ideas through to me and being able to work them into the track. So it'll be really cool just to continue with that and actually start getting finished tracks put out so we can promote them, because I know from everyone I spoke to about the project, they're like always super interested as soon as you start explaining it to them. So I think once we've got those tracks there in place and everyone's refined their parts and happy with them, I think we really can get traction around sort of putting them out and getting people interested in listening to the music. And I know there's events coming up in the future as well that I know we have really talented musicians that we could even put live renditions of these tracks together for. That's what I'm really, really excited to see what we can do with them.
Live performances are great.
Yeah? Live performances. Because I was about to say, what is the plan for this music? You're making these incredible sounds, but what are you going to do with it? You can't just keep it to yourself.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
What's the plan, Andrew?
As far as I'm aware, we want to get some sort of compilation out, get this music somewhere where it can be heard, and if possible, as we say, get it performed live. We've been umming and ahhing about quite how to do that, but I have the confidence that we'll get something sorted, because we have got a really talented group over here. We've got talented folks over in Detroit. I know that there's question marks as to whether we'll be able to sort of meet each other in person, but if we can, meets up, be it over here, be it over in America. It would be amazing to just play this stuff together. So there's lots of potential, and as I say, we want to put it all together somewhere. So,
guys, do you fancy a trip to Coventry?
Don't say yes.
That was part of me.
Exactly. Just say yes. Let's come over there.
I couldn't wait to travel. Like, oh my goodness,
Really?
that's the one thing
I'm like
I
sitting
cannot
here
wait.
freezing right now.
Oh, it's cold here too. We're used to it.
Yeah, it's frozen over here.
Just give us an excuse to come over there, man.
Listen, we get 5 minutes of snow and we're shaking.
Exactly.
It's
a Taylor
freezing.
situation.
It's
You know what I
freezing.
mean?
So cold
But
right
guys, thank you so much for taking the time and coming and hanging out this day and speaking with us. I just want to remind everyone that the more work from this project will be showcased at the CVX Festival in February, but keep an eye out for announcements and more information. A final thank you to all of the talented musicians from Coventry, from Detroit, and I'd also like to thank, in celebration of MOBO, for the opportunity for us to come together this exciting weekend in the city. Of course, the night before the MOBO Awards, yes! So the programme has been brought to you by Coventry City Council, produced by Remarkable Productions, with Coventry UK City of Culture Trust, and support from the Arts Council England. And finally, thank you to the HMV Empire for hosting us here in Coventry today. Now we're going to close now with the second track in development from this fantastic project. This is Bad You.